I still can't believe that Catherine and I actually moved to America. It was our long-held dream, and now, finally, it has come true. Of course, starting a new life in an unfamiliar country is not easy, but we are full of enthusiasm. For the first time, we stayed with Catherine's mom, Evelyn. She lives in a charming cottage in a quiet green neighborhood. The house is spacious and cozy, with a large garden where it's so nice to spend time. "Stay with me as long as you need, my dears," Evelyn said, hugging us on the doorstep. "You know how happy I am that you're here. Catherine and I are very grateful to her for her hospitality. It's great that we have a place to live at first, while we look for work and settle in. My mother-in-law is the nicest woman, always ready to support and help. Despite the move and the hustle and bustle, my wife and I try to maintain a positive attitude. In the evenings, we walk around the new neighborhood, getting to know the locals. They are friendly and welcoming, which is pleasing. Having settled in with Evelyn, Catherine and I gradually blend into the measured home life. While my wife is busy looking for a job, I try to be helpful around the house. I especially enjoy helping my mother-in-law in the garden. There is always something to do there. "Thank you, Michael." Evelyn smiles when I once again volunteer to help with the beds or lawn. "With you, any work gets done twice as fast." We often talk to her about life, share stories, and joke. My mother-in-law and I discovered quite a few common interests that I had never suspected before. For example, a love of old movies and jazz music. "Wow, you like Frank Sinatra too?" I asked in surprise when Evelyn was humming "Fly Me to the Moon" while cooking dinner. "Of course! I even used to go dancing to him once," she winked back. I find it easy and interesting to communicate with my mother-in-law. Sometimes, she and I can chat for hours on end while Catherine is busy with her own things. It's nice that such a warm, trusting relationship has developed between us, although sometimes I am visited by strange thoughts that I immediately push away. That day, Catherine left for the city early in the morning. She had several interviews scheduled. My mother-in-law and I were left alone at home. Evelyn started baking an apple pie and called me to help. We were puttering around the kitchen chatting about nothing. At one point, reaching for the flour, I accidentally touched Evelyn with my hand. That fleeting touch sent an electric shock through my body. "Oh, sorry," I said in embarrassment, looking away. "It's okay," Evelyn replied softly, but there was something in her gaze that made me catch my breath. We suddenly fell silent, looking at each other. The tension between us became almost palpable. As if in a dream, I saw every freckle on her slightly flushed cheeks, felt the teasing scent of her perfume. My heart was pounding wildly. "Evelyn, I began, not knowing what I wanted to say. But my mother-in-law put her finger to my lips and whispered, "Shh, don't say anything. Just kiss me." And I kissed her, passionately, greedily, as if I had been waiting for this moment for an eternity. Our hands roamed each other's bodies, exploring, caressing. It was madness, but such sweet madness. From that day on, something forbidden and secret began between us. We both knew we shouldn't allow ourselves to do this. But how can you command your heart? Our secret affair with Evelyn continued. We met in snatches when Catherine wasn't home. We locked ourselves in her room, made love, whispering sweet nothings to each other. For a while, we forgot about everything in the world. But as soon as my wife returned, we were both overwhelmed with guilt. We avoided looking each other in the eye, afraid of giving ourselves away with a casual glance or gesture, and even more afraid to look at Catherine. My beloved wife, suspecting nothing, was still affectionate with me. She made plans for the future, shared her little joys. She hugged me so sincerely with such love. And this only made me feel worse. "How's Mom doing? You two have been spending so much time together," Catherine asked over dinner one day. "It's all good," I squeezed out, looking down. "I'm just helping her around the house while you're busy." Then Catherine smiled and stroked my hand. "You're so caring. Thank you for helping Mom out." Those words burned like fire. If only she knew what her mother and I were really doing. Then she definitely wouldn't be thanking me. I felt painfully ashamed in front of my wife. The longer my affair with Evelyn continued, the more I realized that it couldn't go on like this. We risked destroying our family and hurting someone close to us. But how do you find the strength to end something that brings so much forbidden pleasure? One evening, when Catherine went to visit new friends, Evelyn and I were alone again. We sat in the living room, sipping wine and absently gazing at the fire in the fireplace. We were both silent, lost in unhappy thoughts. "Michael, this can't go on," Evelyn suddenly said quietly, breaking the silence. "What's happening between us? It's not right." I sighed heavily. I knew this conversation was long overdue, but I was still unprepared. You're right. We shouldn't be doing this to Catherine, I replied, looking my mother-in-law in the eye. She doesn't deserve this betrayal. Exactly. As much as I want to be with you, this relationship is impossible, Evelyn smiled sadly. We need to end this here and now before it's too late. We talked for a long time that night, pouring our hearts out to each other. We admitted that our feelings were sincere and deep, but for Catherine's happiness, we would have to bury them within ourselves. Our secret will die with us, Evelyn whispered in my ear during our last farewell kiss. From that day on, my mother-in-law and I returned to our former respectful relationship, as if nothing had happened. We doubled our efforts to take care of the house, helping Catherine and supporting her in everything. My wife became the center of my universe again. Sometimes, when I'm alone, I remember my affair with Evelyn and mourn what might have been. But I immediately pull myself together. I have a loving wife and hope for a happy future in a new country. I can't destroy that, one thing I'm sure of. No matter what happens in the future, my mother-in-law and I will keep our secret. What was forbidden between us will forever remain hidden from prying eyes. This burden of memories we will carry through life in silence, not allowing it to break Catherine's heart. After a while, our family moved into our own home. Life fell into a familiar groove, filled with new events and concerns. We often visit Evelyn, surrounding her with attention and love. But to everyone except the two of us, our relationship is a model of understanding between son-in-law and mother-in-law. And may it always be so.